Welcome, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome to the kingdom. I am so excited and so honored to have you here. I'm Justin Michael Williams, and welcome to all of you who are here for the very first time. It is an honor and a privilege that I don't take for granted to be with you today. I have two very special guests joining us today that are going to blow your hearts and your minds wide open. But before we begin, as we start every single week, I'd love for you to type in where you're coming in from. Hello, Mary Teresa and Chris and Leslie and Jerry and Evie and Bill, I know you're there, and Carrie and Anona and Susan. I see all of you. Hello. So type in where you're coming in from. And if this is your first time ever coming to the kingdom, please type first time in the chat box, and you'll see our entire community from all over the world will welcome you. We'll welcome you with open arms and an open heart. And you know what we always say here, that we rise together. And so I thank you for taking the time out of your day and your life to join us. It is an honor and a privilege that I don't take for granted. I feel like Southwest Airlines when I say, I know there are many airlines that you can fly, which I know there's so many things you could be doing on a Sunday. And so the fact that you are here is really a privilege. And you know, one of my commitments to you with these sessions of the kingdom is that we're not just here to talk about change. There are lots of conversations about change. We're here to actually change something. And so in today's session, we'll have a little practice and action to help take you forward, and a lot of inspiration to help open your heart and open your mind and lead you towards your healing. And so hello from Mozambique, and from the Hudson Valley, New York, and Vashon, Washington, and Karen, I see it's your first time, and San Francisco and New York. Hello, Jacques. Hello, Jerry. Hello from Eugene, Oregon. Colorado Springs, first timer. Hello, Anne, first timer. Erica, first timer. Philly. Everybody from all over the world. Hawaii, Milwaukee, and beyond. You know, one of the things that I love most about our community, that I love most about our community, is we really do embody coming together from all different genders and ages and races and socioeconomic backgrounds, knowing that we're stronger together. And that leads me perfectly into one of the things, and if this is your first time, this will be new to you, that I say every single week. We talk about what we believe here at the kingdom. And this is kind of our belief systems. And hello, Amy from Silver City. I see you here for your first time. These are our kind of belief statements here that we've pulled together as a kingdom. And I think you'll love these. We believe that all beliefs are welcome here. So sometimes you'll hear me say God or spirit or the universe or crystals or unicorns or whatever, science, whatever it is that you believe in, okay? It's all welcome here. All biologies are welcome here. You can come exactly as you are with nothing to hide. We believe in the power of music to open our hearts and our minds, and we have a very special guest joining us to open our hearts with music today. We believe that wisdom can come from many places. And so sometimes it'll be from a religious text, sometimes it'll be from science, sometimes it'll be from somewhere else, and ultimately it's to wake up that inner truth, that ultimate truth that is inside of you. We believe in an expanded definition of self, knowing that we are connected to one another in the universe. And here at the kingdom, we don't just honor or tolerate each other's differences, but we know that we are stronger because of them. And ultimately, that we rise together. And so we have a lot of first-timers joining us today. And so what I want you to know is we always begin each session with either a poem or some form of art or music, song, and then we'll do a prayer. And I'll guide us through a prayer together. And then I give everybody about 60 seconds to welcome in your own personal prayer and set your own intention. And so this is when you could bring in one of your traditional religious prayers or any other intention that you'd like to set for yourself. And my vision that I've been holding strong for us at the kingdom, and we're here at our 33rd week live together. What my vision that I'm holding strong is, as soon as this pandemic is over, whatever that means, that we'll all be together and saying all of our prayers from all of our different backgrounds and all of our different languages out loud in one room together. And then we jump into a teaching, which is sometimes by me or a special guest. And today I have a really special guest who I've been excited to interview and talk to for quite some time now. And then a little practice, a golden nugget, and a power action, which I'll tell you all about when that moment comes. And so I welcome you, I welcome you, I welcome you with open arms. Let's pray. Here at the Kingdom, one of the things that we like to do, and you can do whatever you want, it's all just a suggestion, is placing our hands over our hearts with the right hand first and the left hand over the right. You can also do the traditional prayer hands, prayer mudra. And one of the things I taught last week is if you want to kind of seal it, you put your left thumb over your right thumb to seal it in the back. But this is kind of the traditional one that we do here at the Kingdom. Just hands right over the center of your chest, into the root of the heart. And let's pray. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing our community together, rising strong together for 33 weeks. Thank you for the ripples of change that are going out into the world from each and every person stepping into their own light. And may we all remember where the healing resides. May we all remember to find our way back home to ourselves. May we all remember to be compassionate with ourselves whenever we get lost or whenever we get off track. And may we remember that when we get lost or off track, that all we have to do is come back to that silent, still place within us where you reside. And we will always, always, always be guided back home to ourselves. Thank you for our health. Thank you for the practice of gratitude. Thank you for helping us move through all challenges with resilience. Thank you for helping us set boundaries for our self-care. And thank you for our special guests today who are leading us straight into the heart. May we place our faith in the flow of love. This is your moment now to welcome in your own personal prayer. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, all that ever will be, we thank you. Let every word that is spoken today, let every note that is sung be used for the benefit of all, for the transformation of all. And may each of us hear the exact message that we need today. I pray for our entire community. May we all be well, and we rise together. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Shalom, Satnam, Om, Awen. Thank you. Here we are, Kingdom family. Here we are, Kingdom family. Ah, what a joy it is to be with all of you. I love Kalani said we're big on unicorns in this household. That's amazing. We are in this household too. I'm home. Those of you who know this background by now, I'm home in the Bay Area with my family, and my little nieces are in the other room. So if you hear any little loud children screaming, I think you all understand how that goes. And, so today we're in for quite a treat. So I have a special guest who I'm going to invite onto the screen in a moment, who many of you know. We have our brother, Alonzo, here today. And Alonzo is going to bless us with a song today to open our hearts. And one of the things that feels really important is in this community that we're all continuing to elevate and support one another. And so what I want to say to you all is that Alonzo, our brother Alonzo, has his first album coming out this week on Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right, Alonzo? It's on Tuesday? No, Wednesday. On Wednesday. It's on Wednesday. I get the dates back. On Wednesday. And so I'm going to put a link in the chat box while Alonzo's singing and after Alonzo's singing and then again at the end. And what I would love is for every single person in our community to go pre-order Alonzo's album Enough. I've gotten the absolute privilege of hearing this album myself already. It is gonna blow your heart wide open. It is coming from the most deepest place in his spirit. And I think you're gonna be blown away by his voice today. And the reason why I'm asking you to pre-order his album and not just wait to listen to it on Spotify or something like that is because what happens for independent artists is if you pre-order the album on iTunes, not on Apple Music, on iTunes, then every single person who pre-orders, just like it is with a book, every single person who pre-orders, when the day of the release comes, it's like all of the pre-orders happen at once. And then it shoots that artist up to the charts, on the top of the charts. And we're aiming Alonzo to #1. And I think together in this community, if every single person who's on here today pre-ordered Alonzo's album on iTunes, he would for sure be in the top 10. And so I'm just gonna encourage all of you to do that. I see people are already asking for it, so I'm gonna put the link in the chat box for you now. Alonzo's album, so you'll see this. And sorry, I just wanna type the word album so y'all know what I'm talking about. So I'm putting it in the chat box right now. And what you do is you go into your iTunes account and you pre-order it, okay? And then we'll all celebrate him on Wednesday when this happens. So Alonzo, we're so proud of you. I know for myself of being somebody who always had a dream of putting an album out that, this is a big deal for somebody like you and for somebody who grew up like us. And so I'm gonna turn the music down and just give you a moment to say hello to the community. Hello, Alonzo.
Hey, family. Yeah. It's so good to see everyone. Can you hear me good, Justin?
I can hear you just fine, Alonzo. I can hear you just fine.
Oh my gosh. Bro, so this is the 33rd Kingdom. My album comes out March 3rd, which is 3-3. Year 21, 2 + 1 is 3, and it's my 30th birthday.
Well, there we go. We got the 3 energy everywhere.
The 3 energy is everywhere.
So, Alonzo, I know, like me, you grew up in a pretty rough environment, and had dealt with a lot of trauma and a lot of holding yourself back and a lot of, bullying and teasing and a lot of things that kind of made you hide your voice, and
yes.
hide bringing that expression of your voice into the world, which is a big reason why I think you and I connect so deeply on this level. So can you tell me a little bit about why this album is called Enough and why that's important for us to know about in this process?
Yeah, I titled this project Enough because I felt like enough was enough with me allowing perfectionism and fear to stop me from putting out my music. I had been doing music for almost 10 years, and I literally toured overseas for 4 years singing other people's music. And so when I got to LA and I'm performing all over the place and everybody's like, "You're so awesome, where can I hear your music?" I had nowhere to send these people. And the reason was because nothing was ever good enough for me. Yeah, and so I got to the point where I said, enough is enough. I'm gonna put out this project. I'm gonna get out of my own way. And furthermore, Alonzo, you are enough. And you need to show up for yourself. And that's just what I did. I felt like it was just time, man. It took me 3 years to finish the project.
Wow, there's another 3.
Yeah, another 3. And so that was my story. But then I realized that it's gone deeper, and it's been to connect with people and remind them that they are enough and that their gifts are enough. And if you can get out of your own way, just keep in mind that it's fine, you're growing. And even when you're growing, you still are enough.
Come on, Alonzo. You're going to do the service today.
Dude, and thanks to you, because you remind me of this so much, and I don't know where I would be without you, to be honest. I'm not gonna cry before I sing.
Oh my God. Well, we're all just here, as Ram Dass says, walking each other home constantly. So, Alonzo, without further ado, thank you for blessing us with your song.
Love you
today. Love you.
All right, guys. This song was my anthem of 2020. And I know we're in a new year.
Wait. I'm interrupting you.
Okay.
I got to tell the people something real quick. Y'all remember that one of the things that we do right here with Alonzo is that this music is a form of prayer. And so listen to this song, not as a performance, but as a prayer. And Alonzo, I'm offering that to you too, to remember that this ain't your Hollywood stage performance.
Yes.
This is your prayer right before the launch of your album. And so, prayers up, hands up. All right, all you.
Perfect. I'm just gonna sing. We're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, but you can find the fighter. I've seen you. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move. We're gonna rise up. We'll rise like the day. We'll rise up and rise unafraid. We'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. We're gonna rise up high like the waves. We'll rise up and rise unafraid. We'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Ooh. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise you will take the world to its feet and move. Ooh, mountains. We'll take the world to its feet and move. Ooh, mountains. We're gonna rise up. We'll rise like the day. We'll rise up and rise unafraid. We'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up and rise unafraid. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and all we have is each other. All we need is hope, and all we have is each other. Oh, all we need is hope. All we have is each other. All we need is hope, and all we have is each other. We're gonna rise up. We'll rise like the day, and I'll rise up and rise unafraid. I'll rise and we'll do it 1,000 times again. Yeah. And I'll rise up high like the waves, and I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid, and I'll rise. We'll do it 1,000 times. Oh, ooh, ooh, and I'll rise up. We're gonna do it 1,000 times. And I'll rise, and I'll rise. You're gonna rise.
Alonzo, let us just take that in. Let us just take that in for a second. We'll rise up. We'll rise up. We'll rise up. We'll rise up. Alonzo, thank you so much for blessing us. We're blessing you big time on your big 3333333 album, Enough. And everybody, I put the link in the chat box, and I'll put it in again, and you guys can all put it in again to make sure that we support Alonzo. And Alonzo, we will update everybody next Sunday to tell them where you landed and what happened with you in the charts. We're sending you big blessings. Here's the moment. This is the moment that little you never knew if it would happen. And this is it. You're doing it, brother. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Love you, Kingdom.
Yes. All right, everybody. Oh, what a gift. What a gift it is for us to all be together. And again, I put the link information in the chat box if somebody else can just copy and paste it and type it in for me as well. Alonzo's new album, Enough, comes out this week on the 3rd. That's his Instagram at the bottom. And the link is in the chat box for those of you as well. Story of Alonzo is how you find him on social media. So without further ado, my friends, oh my goodness gracious, I am so excited to welcome you, to welcome this next guest that we have. And the topic that we have for today's session is something really special. Something that there's literally nobody else in the whole universe that I think can talk about this in the way that she's gonna talk about it. And it's called the power of radiant rest. The power of radiant rest. And our guest today, her name is Tracy Stanley. And some of you already knew this was coming because you saw that I posted about it on social media. But Tracy, if you don't know Tracy, she is, first of all, a soul sister to me. I'll never forget the moment that I met you, Tracy, at Sienna Sherman's house, sitting around the dinner table, first time when we got a moment to connect. Tracy is a noted and lineaged teacher of Yoga Nidra and meditation and self-inquiry, and her practices run so deep. She was initiated in 2001, which is so crazy to think how long ago that actually is, and is the co-founder of Empowered Wisdom Yoga Nidra School. And she created the Empowered Life Self-Inquiry Oracle deck. And you all know how much I love Oracle decks. And, Tracy really travels the world when that is a thing, has been traveling the world internationally, leading retreats and teacher trainings and presenting at festivals and events. She did Oprah and Gail's Girls Get Away, which was amazing. So if you know if Oprah brought in Tracy, that we are really lucky to have her today. And she has tons of online classes available, but most specifically, Tracy also has a book coming out on March 9th called Radiant Rest. And we're all gonna go pre-order Tracy's book as well. And so Tracy, I am so excited to welcome you here to the Kingdom community. Hello, hello, hello. Everybody say hello to Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for everyone who's joining.
Ah, what a gift, Tracy, it is to have you here. So, I think one of the things that's so fascinating, and I want to make sure I say something here because there's a lot of new people. Oh, by the way, Tracy, people are flipping out in the chat box that didn't know you were here. They said, stop, no way, Tracy's here. And so what I want to make sure I tell you all is, if for those of you who are new here in the Kingdom, what we do is in the chat box, if you hear me or hear Tracy say something that makes you want to say like yes or like amen or we're with you or we got you, you throw your little emoji prayer hands up. You see Maureen's already doing it. And if you don't have the emoji hands, you can just type in the word hands up in the chat box. And you can even type in your favorite quotes because that's scientifically proven to help you remember the quotes that come up. And so I just wanted to offer that. So it's not like you're watching a TV show of Justin and Tracy. We're here with you. We're here with you live. So Tracy, hello. Hello.
Hello.
It's really interesting because I think about this topic of rest. And I love when I saw the title of your book, Radiant Rest. It was one of those things that just said a big oh yes in my spirit. And I'm wondering, before we even go into any of the details, why that choice? Why radiant rest? What does that even mean for us?
That's a beautiful question. And the truth of the matter is that I did not choose that title. Goddess and Spirit chose that title. So the publisher said to me, give us a bunch of titles and we'll look at the titles. And I wrote the titles down and I was like, this is all coming from my mind. This is all coming from my intellect of what I think this book should be called. But what's really the result of this book? Let me actually lay down and let me do the practice of Yoga Nidra. And when I'm in that liminal space between sleeping and waking, let me tune into what that feels like and ask the question, what is the title of this book? And the title of the book came forward. There were 5 or so titles that came forward, and I submitted them all to the publisher. I had this feeling about Radiant Rest, and I thought, oh, they're not going to choose that one because it doesn't sound like Yoga Nidra. Like people who don't do Yoga Nidra, maybe they're not going to know. I don't know if the people who are practicing or doing the marketing for this book practice Yoga Nidra. And Spirit said, send them a version of a Yoga Nidra practice to listen to, so that the people who are actually going to choose the title have an essence of what the practice is about. And maybe 2 days later, I got an email back saying, this is the title, it's Radiant Rest.
Wow.
And I was just like, yes, that is the title. So that's how that happened.
That's beautiful. And you're throwing this word in, Yoga Nidra, right? And I know there's a lot of people on here who will know what that is. It's a practice that I do absolutely regularly. I have your course on commune. It's just one of my favorite practices. But there's a lot of people who have no idea what the hell you're talking about when we say Yoga Nidra. So could you help us understand exactly what that is and what that has to do with rest or any of this in the first place?
Yes. Oh, yes. So Yoga Nidra is typically translated as the yoga of sleep. Right?
Somebody type that in, the yoga of sleep.
The
Type that in so we
sleep.
remember. Okay.
And yet it's sleep with a slight trace of awareness. So what does that mean? That means that it's a practice that is done lying down in a supine position or side lying, or maybe even leaning up against a wall, whatever is the most comfortable, supported position for your particular body.
Okay.
And then you are systematically guided to relax the body. And as you're systematically guided to relax the body and then to also be aware of the breath without forcing, you start to move into this place of effortlessness. And as you move into this place of effortlessness, you start to become aware that you are more than just the physical body, that you are energy, that you are prana, life force, which is intelligence, and that breath is the vehicle for prana. And at some point in the practice, you're just asked to completely let go of any doing, and you let prana lead you back to source. And you rest in spacious awareness.
This is so powerful because one of the things that we've anchored into in this community a lot is the difference between doing and being, and how and our beingness affects all of our doing. And so I love this kind of resting and letting prana, letting spirit, letting the beingness that's there really push through. And so I want to be very clear for people, because a lot of people, when they think of yoga, right, they're thinking, okay, I got to be doing all these poses like upside down and all that stuff. So this is nothing like that, right?
This is nothing like that. This is the absolute practice of non-doing. And in fact, it is the practice of dissolution. So there's a type of yoga that's called Laya yoga, and it's the yoga of dissolution. And so this dissolution is really us withdrawing our senses. So the sounds that would normally bring our awareness outward, the tastes, the smells, the sights, we're bringing all of our senses inward. And we do that so that we can re-assimilate into our origin.
I feel re-assimilate into our origin. I already know that's a quote people are going to be typing in. And I have this quote from you that I thought was really beautiful from Radiant Rest. And it says, at its heart, Yoga Nidra is about waking up to the fullness of your life.
That's
and that is just so beautiful, because we don't often think about rest and sleep and non-doing and dissolution as the way that we're normally waking up to our life. So what's the power in that? What's the difference in that that's important for people to know?
Yeah. So the power in that is that you get to fall asleep to everything that's not real.
Ooh, I've never heard somebody say that like that. That just hit me. If I had an Oprah aha moment, that was it. Okay.
And
Wow.
you wake up to what is real, which is the fact that we are eternal.
Yeah.
Right? That we are joy, we are light. And that's the waking up. And so, what I would say about rest, just to kind of pull back on that question that you asked, is that rest and being deeply rested is the afterglow of the practice of Yoga Nidra.
The afterglow. What do you mean? Explain, pull that thread a little bit more for us.
It's really the fragrance that comes back with you after you've done the practice, because the practice is a spiritual practice. And even though we may not think about it as a spiritual practice, ultimately we are allowing ourselves to rest in the heart center, in the cave of the heart.
Yeah.
And to be led there.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful practice, and it's a restful practice. We can look at the brainwave states and the states of sleep that we go through while we're doing this practice. So we're getting a lot. We're getting rested, we're getting rejuvenated. But I think the most powerful part of Radiant Rest, Yoga Nidra, and not saying that that's a brand, because it's not a brand. This is not something that you can brand. You cannot brand spirit. You cannot brand the goddess. You cannot brand. So this is really just about, how can I let go and be supported unconditionally by whatever you want to call that, goddess, spirit, earth, the thing that is there that is always watching, that I'm in relationship with that. And then I recognize also that there's a part of me that is always awake, even when I'm sleeping.
There is a part of me that is always awake, even when I'm sleeping. Y'all, that's it. The quotes you're giving us today, Tracy, are just really good. So, you know what I want to hear from you that I actually don't know the answer to. And so, when I look at you, a beautiful Black woman, and I think about the idea of rest and Black women being in the same sentence, it feels like a complete paradox. And so how is it that you found yourself in this position to be giving this kind of an offering to us in the world? What was your journey to this moment? I mean, I know that could be a whole hour, but I want to hear like the defining moment for you.
Bullet points.
Yeah.
It started when I was young. It started when I was young because my father actually modeled for me the idea of making sure that you were rested.
Yeah.
And he wasn't one to take naps during the day, but he always went to bed early, and he woke up before sunrise. And he would always say, okay, I'm turning in. I'm going to turn in. And if you think about that phrase, I'm going to turn in.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn inward. I'm leaving the outside world and I'm going to turn in. And then he would say, I'm getting my beauty sleep. So the message that I got from him was that it was essential actually to be rested and to not let yourself become distracted with things outside of what you needed to do in order to be able to thrive. And so he was able to be fully rested because he went to bed very early. And he was also able to thrive as a Black man in, the 60s, 70s, and so and on from there. So that was the first thing. I don't know that I ever cognized rest and that together. What I always did know was that I wasn't someone to go out late and stay out late all hours of the night. I always knew that as long as I was living at home, he was going to wake me up and make sure that I was awake before sunrise. So I needed to make sure that I was so that was the first thing. And then when I discovered this practice and I was introduced to this practice, I was in a very busy career as a Hollywood executive. And I started to realize that this practice was something that could bring me a lot of rest and a lot of peace and clarity. And at the same time, I also realized that the practice of yoga in general was something that when I would go into spaces, I would often be the only Black person. I would often be the person who was like, oh, is this your first time in class? There were many microaggressions and things that happened. And so for me, I said, I really feel like I want to be able to offer a space where people can come and feel welcome because they see themselves represented in the management and the teachers. And so I opened a yoga studio in 2001 in West Hollywood that was a donation only studio that was called Divine Motion. And it was this little tiny, teeny tiny place. We could only fit like 25 people in, but it was the most diverse and inclusive space, not only of teachers, but of the types of traditions of practices that we taught. And I think that from owning that studio, I saw the power of yoga and I saw the responsibility of making sure that practices were available to everyone, not just an elite group of people, not just a form of luxury, but something that is our birthright to have. It's our birthright to be able to experience our true nature. And that's where yoga leads us. So I hope that
That's
answers your
beautiful.
question.
No, it's beautiful,
Wrong.
Tracy. No, it's beautiful, and I think it's no secret to anybody here in this community that if it wasn't for the practice of yoga, like I would not be here doing the work that I'm doing today at all. I would never have woke up, into this work, and so I love the way that you are bringing this to us because two things that I think a thread that I want to pull. So two threads that I'm wanting to pull on a little bit is one, you talked about your father and this turning in, and it's so funny because I've heard that somebody just said it to me last night. Okay, I'm about to turn in, but I've never thought of it so spiritually. What that really means, and the power of actually what resting does to really give us the clarity and the wakefulness in our lives. And just over the last, I don't know, has it been when I started writing my book? So in 2018, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to be in bed for 8 hours of sleep. I may not sleep the whole time, but I won't have my phone, but I will be in bed. And that was a big change for me because I was one of those 5 hours, coffee, this, that, kind of thing. My whole life changed by getting 2 more hours of sleep. Two more hours. Like I couldn't even believe. And then what came from that? And then when I added Yoga Nidra to my life in the middle of the day, sometimes now I'll do a 10-minute practice. I'll turn on your program. I'll do something. And even from many of your students, it's so funny, even all the other people's Yoga Nidras I do are all your students. So I just feel like your stuff has just been coming through to me forever. And that, it's shocking. I could be in that space in my day where, I meditate in the morning, feel good, you go through 20 Zoom calls, and then you just feel zapped. And I could go do a 10-minute Yoga Nidra practice, and it's like I've been completely refreshed, like in 100%. A way that's almost shocking, So what is that? Why does that happen in such a short period of time? And what's the difference between doing something like Yoga Nidra versus just going to take a nap? Because I feel a big difference, but I've never really known what that difference is.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Swamis would tell you that Yoga Nidra is doing a 20-minute Yoga Nidra is the equivalent of sleeping for 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
I'm still waiting to see the scientific evidence around that. But the thought around it is that we move into these different stages of sleep.
Okay.
And the brain waves also shift. And that when we are in Yoga Nidra, we can touch this place of NREM sleep, which is the deepest part of our sleep cycle, in a very short period of time. So it takes us a shorter period of time to reach that state in Yoga Nidra than it would if we were just going to sleep, like, going to bed, going to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. A lot of times when you take a nap, you might get into that deep place of dreaming and then feeling like you're falling into the deep sleep. And then you have to wake up from the nap because the nap is not going to sleep for the whole night. And you've interrupted somehow a sleep cycle sometimes, right? So it just depends on your intention and how you're falling asleep. The other thing is that with Yoga Nidra, that part of you is staying awake and aware, right? Because that is the thread that weaves through. It's this awareness. And you give your body permission to fall asleep. And you also give your mind permission to fall asleep. And it's the awareness that stays constant throughout. And a lot of times when we're napping, and I don't know how, for me, whenever I decide I'm going to take a nap, I have to wind down the mind a little bit, right? And because we're being guided systematically, usually by someone else's voice, but sometimes people will self-guide, it gives the mind something to focus on, and it gives the mind a direction. So it's a little bit different than napping. And that's not to say that napping is not just as, can be just as powerful and can be just as much of a spiritual practice.
But, there's something, so what I would love for you to just explain us through is, because a lot of people in the chat box are asking, so like, is this like lucid dreaming? Is this like dream? Is this like this? So I would love for you to just walk us through. If I was going to sit down and do a Yoga Nidra, and we're not going to do one right now because I know y'all are not ready to just lay out, in the kingdom. But we'll have. But I'm putting the link to Tracy's book in the chat for you all right now, so you can get it. Which it has a whole bunch of guided audio practices by Tracy as well, included in the book, that will allow you to be able to have the experience of Yoga Nidra fully. And so I would love for you to just walk us through, Tracy. What is it like? If I'm going to sit down and do this process, what are the steps and how does this actually go?
Yeah. So essentially what you would do is you would lie down. You would allow your body to be completely supported in whatever comfortable.
In a bed, wherever you want?
You could lie on the bed. You could lie on the floor. You could recline yourself back in a chair.
Okay.
It's really your body is the first barrier to you being able to be in that state of non-doing. Right? So you have to allow your body to be completely supported and comforted. And then from there, you can start to just observe your body breathing. So observing your body breathing is different than you breathing, right? And you doing. So the observing is the first thing that allows you to move away from the doing. I'm just watching my body breathe.
I just tried it right now. I'm sure everybody else did too, just to feel that shift, right?
Yeah. And if I watch my body breathe and I bring my awareness to my navel center, and I just feel that when my body breathes, the navel rises. And when I exhale, the navel falls. So inhaling, the navel expands. Exhaling, the navel shrinks. And I just watch that. And just by us watching and being aware, we come into this place of diaphragmatic breathing that then starts to signal the parasympathetic nervous system. And it begins to tell the body that it can relax, right? Now, we have different things and different experiences in life. We could have traumas. And so the idea of relaxing is complicated and nuanced. But once we start to move into this place of relaxation, then we can start to scan through the body and we can just ask the body, toes relax, feet relax, ankles relax. And as we're doing that, we get to watch, where are we holding unconscious tension in the body? And can we release and can we let go? Can we let the body become heavy?
For me, it's
And can
always like in, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just like
yeah,
inserting
yeah.
some things here with us. So, like, for me, it's really interesting when I go through that with you. It's always in my face. Like, I'm
Mhm.
realizing I hold like a lot of tension in my mask here. And when you say like relax here, relaxing the cheeks, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, wow, I didn't even notice my jaw, my shoulders,
right.
like how much tension is just being held there. And you think you're laying down relaxed and you realize you're not relaxed at all. you know?
Yes, you become very aware, and I'm so glad that you said my mask, because yoga at its deepest level is, as one of my teachers would say, is preparation for dying gracefully.
Hmm.
And Yoga Nidra and these practices of deep rest are no different, because you are literally dying to the world of name and form, and you are awakening to the eternal. And so that mask has to be released. The tension has to be released, and you let go. And as you let go, you feel the earth beneath you. And you feel that when the body breathes, that the earth actually rises up to hold the body.
Wow.
And when you exhale, you can release and surrender into that hold. And then there's this trust that comes forward. There's this faith that comes forward, that I can be held, and I deserve to be held
Hmm.
by the earth.
That really gives us permission to surrender in a way,
Yeah.
you know?
And as you surrender more doing. And there's many different techniques and ways that you might be led through that. But then eventually you may be asked to just rest your awareness at the heart center. And the heart center is said to be this kind of portal into the fourth state of consciousness, which is known as Turiya, which is this place that's like a void. And that it's deep, deep, deep in the cave of the heart. And there's said that there's many, many different caves upon caves upon caves. But you allow yourself just to rest there, and then you surrender and dissolve into
Mm.
that space.
So, okay, so we lay down, we've relaxed all parts of our bodies, we've surrendered into the earth, we've watched our breath, we got to this place, and then what happens next?
Well, what happens next is really grace. You going deeper into the practice really arrives by grace. It's not something that the state of Yoga Nidra, which is this state of, let's say, very close to samadhi, which is this blissful state that is beyond anything that we can ever describe or know. But it's this union that we talk about in yoga, this yoking, that arises by grace. It's not something that we can make happen. So everything that we're doing in the Yoga Nidra practice is really just um, it's a practice of relaxing and letting go. And even when we think, oh, I've really relaxed, I've really learned how to surrender, the next time you practice, you're like, oh, there's one more level of letting go. There's one more level of surrender. And this is a lifelong practice. So it's something that you literally can be doing for the rest of your life, and continuing to wake up every time.
That's
Every time
beautiful.
we finish Yoga Nidra, we have changed,
Yeah,
because there's a part of ourself that we've let go that is heavy, and not
beautiful.
necessarily something that is going to bring us towards awakening. We get to let those parts go.
This is beautiful. And one of the things that I love at the end of all of the practices that I've done with you is you invite us into sometimes an open or a guided experience of journaling. And so I think that for me, that is sometimes one of the most powerful parts of the experience, which is something that you typically wouldn't do after a nap, sometimes. And so can you just talk to us about that part of it and why that's important, and even some of the questions that you like for people to ask themselves as they come out of Nidra?
Yeah, that's a great question. So somebody, I think in the chat, you said asked, is this similar to lucid dreaming,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this transitional space. Yoga Nidra asks us to be awake and aware through all the transitions, through the transitions between dreaming, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and then coming back out, right? So this space between us being in this deep, deep place in Yoga Nidra, and then coming out to wakefulness, has a lot of magic and it has a lot of potential. So I don't know how many people on the call have ever done a yoga practice and had an epiphany during the practice. And then by the time you get in your car, the epiphany or the wisdom or the insight has kind of lost a little bit of its potency because you can't quite grasp it. So by doing free writing or journaling, there's a way for you to kind of capture the experience and to remember the essence of what came forward for you. And for me, self-inquiry has been a really powerful practice. And if we think about the most powerful question that we could ask ourselves is, who am I? Right? Yeah, who am I? So this is how Ramana Maharshi, when he was a young child, was awakened. He kept asking the question over and over and over again, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? It's maybe a little easier to do when we're sitting in a cave, but with all of the technology and all of the distractions that we have, getting to that core question of who am I, sometimes I feel like we need to ask, who am I not first? And so my self-inquiry questions, a lot of times they just kind of come to me in that same space of between the sleeping and the waking of like, what is the most potent question we can ask ourselves right now that can lead me closer to understanding and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt, who am I and who am I not? How can I let go of that mask and then reclaim my true essence?
This is magical. And because then, when we start to get closer and closer to coming back to our soul, coming back to the who am I with the capital I, like the big I, then that is really the true waking up that you're talking about here. This is us really waking up in a bigger way. It's not just about waking up so that we can do more in the world. Sure, we can do that too. But it's about waking up so that we can become more of who it is that we really are. Tracy, I see your book behind you. I don't know if you have a copy right next to you that you can hold up for people so they can just see how beautiful this book is. Look at this book, y'all. Doesn't it look like something you just want to like rub and touch?
It is so very, yes. It has all my notes. This is like my copy with all my notes in it.
It's magical. It's magical. And I'm putting a link in the chat box for the third time here for you all, just to make sure everybody has it, to get Radiant Rest by Tracy Stanley and to pre-order this. And just similarly to what we did with Alonzo, what happens is you'll see right now, Tracy's book is Radiant Rest. This work is #1 on Amazon in the yoga category right now. #1, Tracy. How does that feel right now? Like, how does that feel to you?
It feels amazing because this, for me, is an offering. Yeah. It's a prayer. This is really like all of the teachings that I've received and the practices that I've done that have been healing a lot of them are in this book. And so for me, it's like, I want people to be healed. I know that they can be healed. I know that they can heal through rest, through this practice of Yoga Nidra, and wake up to who they really are, which is the healing. When we wake up to our full potential, that is a form of healing. For me, it's like, okay, that means that there's more people who are going to be healed and know their full potential. And if they're in the world, that means that we become a healing presence. We become just our presence in the world becomes a healing. We know then who we're not, and we can start to dismantle all of these things. That means that we can have more clarity in the world. We can do more right action in the world. So I'm just happy to offer my little drop of information and teachings and sharing that I can into this big
well, it's
world.
So special, Tracy. It's so special. And, it's #1 before the thing even comes out, which is phenomenal. And the community here is already saying, pre-ordered, I did it. So everybody keep pre-ordering Tracy's book.
Thank you.
Let's get this out into the world. And I would love, Tracy, for we only have a few minutes left, but we're not in any sense of rush right now. Somebody asked here, is it helpful in this practice to be guided by a person or an audio source? And I just want that kind of clarity versus self-guiding yourself through it. And also, if you would give us the honor of guiding us through, I know it won't be a full Yoga Nidra practice because we need some time and to lay down and pillows, but some kind of thing that we can get a little bit of an experience with you and the magic of your voice here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, I think when, as a beginner, it's very helpful to be guided by someone else's voice so that your mind is not thinking, oh, what do I have to do next, right? After you or after you are guided by someone for maybe 2, 3, 4 months, let's say you do this practice every day, you make a commitment, okay, I'm going to practice this for 40 days. Then you pretty much have started to embody the practice. The practice is actually coming into your cells, you kind of remember it, and then you can kind of put the practice down by being guided and say, okay, I remember these steps, these 4 or 5 steps. I'm going to self-guide myself. And I give tips in the book on how to self-guide. But you can self-guide yourself just by simply lying down. And we'll do a couple of things now that I
Okay,
can
cool.
guide you
I'm
through.
going to give you
And
the
then,
full screen. Well, actually, would it be helpful if I stay on to model it, Tracy? Or
yes,
yeah.
please, that would be great.
Okay. And Bill, thank you for that question. And Tracy, take it
Oh,
away. We have, maybe
how many minutes
five,
do we have?
five,
Okay,
7,
5 minutes?
something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, cool.
okay. So wherever you are, just find a comfortable place to allow your body to be supported. So that could be in a chair, that could be lying down. Just take some time to just find a comfortable and supportive place for the body. And as you're finding that comfortable and supported place, just allow yourself to start to move at half speed. So letting go of feeling as though there's any rush to do anything or to be anywhere. And just bring your awareness to your heart center. And as you bring your awareness to your heart, take a deep breath in there. And as you exhale, just exhale with a light, audible, soft sigh out. Do that 2 more times. So inhale. One more time on your own. And just let your body be completely effortless. Notice that your body is breathing. Notice the moment that the breath enters the nostrils. Notice the moment that the breath leaves the nostrils. Feel the navel expanding when the body breathes in, and the navel releasing when the body breathes out. So you are just merely watching yourself breathe. You're not trying to make anything happen. You just watch and feel the navel rising as the body inhales, and the navel falling as the body exhales. Notice how your body is being supported by whatever it is that you are lying or sitting on. And feel as though when the body receives an inhale, you feel the earth rising up to hold and cradle your body. As the body releases an exhale, the body releases and surrenders into that hold. So the support beneath you is unconditional, rising up to hold you. As the body exhales, the body softens and releases into that hold. 5 breaths, just watching and feeling the earth beneath you rising up to hold your body as the body inhales, and releasing into that hold as the body exhales. Continue to notice the body breathing and begin to count the exhales backwards from 10 all the way to 0. Each time you count down a number, you release a layer of constriction or tension in the body and mind. By the time you get to 0, the mind and body are completely free. If you lose your place, start back again at 10. Now, wherever you are in the counting, let that go. Let go of breathing from your personality. And remember that part of you that was there when the universe was created. Let go of all doing. And just rest. Let go. Now just begin to recall that you have a body and that your body is breathing. Bring your awareness to your heart center and just ask yourself the question with awareness at the heart. Who would I be if I were deeply rested? Who would I be if I were deeply rested? Maybe an answer has come forward, bubbling up from the heart. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breath, just bring your hands together at your heart center. And if you can place your hands more in the prayer position, feel as though whatever that word was that you heard, or that phrase of who would you be if you were deeply rested, just feel as though it's between the hands, and then you can slowly begin to briskly then sparking this between the hands as though you're activating it, and then slowly begin to massage the body awake as though you are massaging that into your body, coming back. Deep breaths in and exhales out. Thank you so much for allowing me to just spend a few minutes guiding you in deep relaxation.
I'm busy infusing this into my body. You gotta excuse me for a second, Tracy.
Keep it going.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not done yet.
That was a super quick, deep relaxation practice.
Wow. I'm just infusing it even into my toes.
Everywhere.
My mind and my throat. The words that came to me, and I would love for everybody to type yours into the chat box, were energized and positive. And it was interesting because it came right away. Like, you asked the question and it came right away. And then my brain, as Bill will say, my left brain came in and started to try to add all these things to it. And I said,
That's right.
we're going to leave it right there as what it was right there. It already knew. And so I just kept it there. And once I kept it there and just letting that infuse in, it's so interesting because those would not be the answers that I would have said. And here come people. They're saying that was amazing. They're peaceful, Tamara. Gentle and healing, Kelly. Patient, Bill. Mary Teresa said, I am a puddle of tears. That was deep. Benilda, complete joy. Janine, more loving. Gigi, Gina, is that you, Gina? Peace. Emily, compassionate listener. Oh, they're all coming through. I wish I could read all of them. This is bright light, loving awareness. Not angry, Katie. I love that. A good mom, playful, energetic, compassionate, lover of all, Buddha, joy. We can keep going and going. So, Tracy, this is just such a gift to us. And I just want to just honor you and bless you, you know, in so many ways. You're bringing such a gift. You've always brought gifts to the world, and you're bringing it in a way that really honors that vision that you had early on back in 2001 when you opened the studio of how do we make this even more accessible, more accessible. And so here we are with this Radiant Rest, this beautiful book that will be accessible to people all over the world with your voice and the audio practices and the audio book. I assume you're reading the audio book, right?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
good.
reading the audiobook, and the practices are free. You get the 6 downloadable practices with the purchase of the book, so you can immediately go right to the practices.
Beautiful. And you know, as we lead into closing, you know, I see Karen and Helen and some other people wanted some prayers for their daughters, and there, a lot of us have prayers that we need for ourselves. And so, Tracy, I feel called if you would like to lead us in a closing prayer. Would you be open to that? I know I'm catching you off guard here. So, everybody, before Tracy leads us in prayer, I'm going to give her a moment to say anything else that she'd like to add. And I'm also putting a link again to both Tracy's Radiant Rest, which comes out March 9th, and Alonzo's Enough, which come out March 3rd. And we can really make a big difference in this community by pre-ordering both of these incredible projects that are offering amazing healing out to the world. And I have a little song that's coming to me too, but I'll songbird it after the prayer. So I'll love for you to lead us, Tracy.
Okay. So let's just come to sitting, and whatever way feels natural and organic and truthful for you, whether hands at heart and prayer or hands on the heart. And may we all just begin to understand that our life is a prayer, and that every word, thought, and deed that we bring into this world has power. May we take a moment to just feel into the heart and think of those people in the chat who are in need of prayer right now. And may we feel as though there is this sound, this vibration of peace and healing, the sound of Shanti. And as we feel this sound of Shanti in our heart, may we feel it connecting to the hearts of all of those who are in need of prayer in this moment. And may the fact that we are sitting here together in a virtual circle of healing, of loving, of peace, of power, may our prayers and that vibration of Shanti be amplified. And may we sense and feel this amplification as this color of rose-colored light infusing our entire bodies. And may this rose-colored light move beyond the physical confines of our body and move to the outside of our body, filling our aura, so that we can sense that everyone in this call and all of the beloveds of the ones in this call and on this show are just radiating with this rose-colored light, so that we may share this light from a place of fullness and a place of knowing the power of prayer. May we all be healed, and may we all be a source of healing in this world. Amen.
Amen. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Awen, Shalom, Satnam, Om. Thank you. Tracy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, it's so funny. This song, it just keeps, when we were in our little practice, it keeps coming up to me. And I think it's one that's really sweet that a lot of us will know. And I'll just sing a little moment of it because it's the only part that I know. A little a cappella. A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartache. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams, and someday a rainbow will come shining through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true. Tracy, we love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone on the call.
Blessings, Kingdom family. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And what a special, special session that we've had today with Tracy Stanley, with Alonzo, and the power of radiant rest. This is the kingdom that shines. We rise together, and together we rise. This is Justin Michael Williams signing out. I love you all so much. I'll keep this open for a second so you all can get into the chat box with each other, and I'll put the links to Tracy and Alonzo's work once again. I love you all so much. I'll see you again next week, and we rise together. Bye for now.